What's going on, Cougar fans? Welcome to another week's edition of CUC Football Weekly. I'm Parker Kelley with the Cougar Sports Network, and I'm once again joined by head football coach Andy Lambert. Coach, thank you for joining today.
Oh, missed you last week.
I missed you too. It's always fun talking to you.
Yeah.
So the Cougars were on the road last weekend at Lakeland University, dropped a close contest to the Muskies, 17-9. I was talking to Coach Hankins last week, and he was talking about how the Cougars have yet to play to their full potential, play a complete game, and the Cougars were right there on the edge versus the Muskies. What will be the key to unlocking that potential and being able to close out a game?
Yeah. So I think the first thing, really the main thing right now for us is just the turnover and kind of major mistake category, right? And so even just starting at Greenville, opening kickoff for a touchdown, we had, a bad snap on offense that went, for minus whatever, and then we had the two drop punts, punt snaps. Same thing on Saturday where if you take kind of everything, the way we played, and particularly the defense, played fantastic, but then, we turned it over twice on offense, and we had a couple other snap issues, right? And those all led to points, except for the one turnover. So right now, we just got to hold the football, and we got to find some way for special teams to be neutral, and we just don't have margins to overcome multiple major mistakes. And so I think, even one of the coaches after the game, when we were meeting on this Monday, was just saying, like, the mistakes we're making, they're not just impacting a play or a series, right, or a quarter, like they're impacting the outcome of the game. And so we've just got to somehow figure out a way to be better in those categories and not turn it over and make major mistakes. And so I think some of that has to do with the people you're playing, trying to find different personnel if you can, right? Or if that's the case, the other just has to do with coaching, right? And I'm responsible for putting that product on the field. And so we haven't played poorly, right? I mean, I think we had almost 300 yards rushing last week, but we had on the snaps and the fumbles, you take all those negative yards, and so it just isn't adding up right now to wins, right? It's not adding up to actually winning a football game, and so, like you said, that it all has to come together for that to happen. And
right.
You just keep playing. Our players have been extremely positive. Like I couldn't even tell you how impressed I've been with their demeanor and their energy and just trying really hard to create sort of championship environment, even though we're not playing championship football, right? And so that's been an incredible, even encouragement to me, right? Sometimes I feel like, man, I'm the one that has to manufacture all the energy, but that just has not been the case because these guys have stayed in it so well. So, we love to see fruit of that on the field and win, right? But regardless of what happens these next games, they have been super impressive in coming back, particularly after, Aurora, and just saying, okay, let's control what we can control and see if we can go out there and put a game together.
And I was getting ready to say, one thing that was clicking for the Cougars on Saturday was the run game.
Yeah.
Jacob Redmond led the charge, 16 rushes for 108 yards. Jace Levi even had the big 69-yard touchdown run. What allowed the Cougars to be so successful running the football?
Well, part of it was the wind was blowing, so you have to run it, and you got to try to figure out some different ways to get that. But we've always been a quarterback run system, and so sometimes that looks like 3 or 4 rushes for the quarterback maybe, or called rushes, or you could get up in the 20s. And so we just had some rhythm with some stuff that we were doing with Jacob, and and even the play that Jay scored on was an option play, right? So Jacob could have kept that or handed it. And so we just got some rhythm with that. Jerron Brown is a fantastic tailback, and so he is a guy who can get extra yards. So our sort of power lead game, we got some rhythm with that at different stretches during the game. So yeah, I mean the offensive line's playing well, and we've just got to keep that going.
Now let's talk about the game tomorrow. The Cougars are going to host Eureka College. This has been a much improved Red Devils team, And although they did suffer a loss last week versus WLC, it was a tough loss for the team. But what's the Cougars' strategy in putting away the Red Devils tomorrow?
So, yeah, they've had a great season. So most of those guys from last year's team have come back. So there's we're still in that super senior range right now. And so they're way mature on defense and for the most part on offense as well. So I think that's added to their the scores being better this year than last year. And they've won 3 really close games. So coming down to maybe the last possession or the last 2 possessions, which I think is a testimony to their, being an older team. So they want to be real physical. They kind of do what they do. And so I think we're going to have to raise our level to them physically, like being a kind of a legitimate college physical team, with some of our young guys. So that'll be a key. And just like we talked about earlier, we just cannot make major mistakes, in critical situations.
Absolutely, and Eureka is a very physical team. Look forward to seeing how Concordia competes tomorrow. And thank you for coming on today, and best of luck.
All right.
Make sure to check out the Cougars as they kick off versus Eureka College tomorrow at 1 p.m. Coverage can be found at our athletics website at cucougars.com/coverage. I'm Parker Kelley signing off, and we'll see you next week on CUC Football Weekly. Go Cougars.